Ahoy, my friends, Ryder here, and welcome back to another Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis video. Today, I'm going to be going into the new Ramuh EX Co-op. I will be running it with two friends from my guild, so thank you to Aynath Crescent and LENA for coming out and helping me to put together this video. The Ramuh EX fight is definitely, I think, one of the hardest co-op fights we've had so far. It's not quite as hard as the Ramuh EX2, but it's almost like, in the words of one of my friends, kind of like a demo of that fight. So if you don't go into it prepared, it will beat you every single time. So I recorded a run. I'm going to be doing a voiceover of that run just to kind of walk you guys through the basic setup of that fight. In that fight, I'll be playing Aerith. I think that, I wanted to play, each character has their own specific beta, but I think that probably, I'm going to be explaining all the different betas going into it. And actually, that being said, let's jump into the co-op right here. I'm going to show you guys 3 different setups that you guys can bring. That's not to say that these are the only setups you guys can bring in order to do this fight. There are a lot of different ways to do this fight, but essentially you're going to be working around these guidelines here. So I did this fight with Aerith right here. And what you're going to be trying to look for is a decent amount of HP and high magic defense, along with healing percent if you are playing Aerith in this fight. And I am going to show you guys a build for Red 13 and a build for Cloud and coincidentally Glenn, because those would be the 2 main DPSs that you would be bringing into this fight. So the way I set up Aerith for this fight, we have the Commodore dress, which is essentially her best in slot costume for the buff debuff extension. In a lot of ways for this fight, this costume is absolutely fantastic. Breath of the Earth is going to be an absolute must-have for this fight, so don't sleep on it. Don't put on Healing Wind. You are going to need this in order to counter a magic defense down that the boss is going to inflict on the party at some point in time in the fight. In the main slot, I have the Commodore wand right here. I have the Fairy Tale in the second hand. You can run Umbrella as well. I haven't used that beta very much, so I just went with what I was comfortable with. For the materia, essentially for Aerith, you're going to be running 1x Sigil Ruin Row, right? Or Ruin Blow. Now, for me, for the Commodore Wand in the support materials, you have the single healing ability potency plus 20% and the Cure All. So I did slot 2 Curas here. You don't technically need the Cure All slot. You could put something else. Just because we're going to be using the Fairy Tale to heal. But if you're not using Fairy Tale, just make sure you put the double Curas here. The single target Cura is going to be super important for a Thunder Lance that's going to target one of the characters later on in the fight. So make sure you guys definitely put a Cura at least in this slot. As for the sub-weapons, I have the Centipede right here, boost healing, buff debuff extension. I have Prime Number for healing and lightning resistance. And then I have the Umbrella here for boost lightning resist, boost magic defense to all allies. So just spec yourself as best as you can. Essentially, I'm building for buff debuff duration, magic defense up, and healing essentially with Aerith. And if you look at each of my materias here, you'll see magic defense is pretty focused. This one's 8.8% HP, 12 magic defense. The Cura right here is 11 magic defense, and my last Cura is no magic defense. So I could technically drop this Cura and put on something else. So like, for example, I would just switch this over to here since we're not using that Cura. It is going to be slotted. I don't know why everything is heals right here. But yeah, here, for example, we'll just put that one, right? Which gives us an extra 8 magic defense. So essentially you're shooting for 150 plus magic defense if you want to be safe. Now, I don't know how much easier this fight is. I've only done it one time. It could be done with 130 magic defense, but shoot for the highest you can get while also maintaining a healing stat of 2500 and above. All right, so that is going to be my Aerith setup. Let's go take a look at Red 13. Red 13 can be played, this role can be played also by Barret. Those are probably the 2 best characters for this role because Red 13 in this fight is going to be taking care of Diamond Sigil Break and Magic Attack Break, okay? We'll be running Stardust Ray because this will remove a magic attack up on the boss. So we can use this to basically break the magic attack and then switch over to the Junk Caller to use Frenzied Fang to continue breaking magic attack. Silver Collar in the first slot, super important here. we have the Diamond Sigil Break, and we have the Water Imperil, plus it gives healing and buff debuff extension. Don't forget to slot the Cura in the 3rd slot for the heal all, just in case Red has to kind of help out Aerith with healing throughout the fight. But essentially Red 13 is imperiling, breaking magic attack, and sub healing in the off. Other than that, he doesn't need any other materia other than this healing, so whatever you spec him with, make sure it's with high magic defense. Alright, so we have magic defense 16 right here. I have an Aurora Blow with magic defense 16 as well, right? I didn't even bring in a water materia. If you're running a DPS that's not as strong, you might sub out this Aurora Blow for a water materia. Now, in the back end for Red 13, you know, assuming that the Aerith is running the magic defense up all weapon, you don't need an OB7 one, but at least one of the characters should be running run. Depending on how strong your DPS is, you could be running 2. But I do recommend on the characters other than Aerith that you bring one of the physical attack up all weapons. Just slot it here to make your DPS stronger. So here I have the Stream Saber. On top of that, we have the Syringe Rapier. I chose this essentially for boost HP and buff debuff extension. So I wanted higher HP and I want more buff debuff extension on Red 13. And then I also chose Nameless right here for the HP and lightning resistance, right? Which makes Red 13 all in all pretty tanky. 13.6k HP and 154 magic defense, which is with a decent healing stat of 2,406. All right, so that's going to be a way you can build Red 13. Now, if you are running Matt, right, you can basically run him the same as Aerith, just spec him so that he does the same job, right? For Red 13, you can also run Barret. Same exact thing. Spec Barret in the same way so that he can fulfill the same role. Now, I'm going to jump over to Cloud here. You can, honestly, Glenn is more ideal for this. If you have the Glenn Axe and Slay the Day, those would be your main and offhand weapons. But if you don't, you're going to be running Cloud, you're going to be running your Leviathan, Limit Break right here. You definitely want this at 10 so that you can kill the Spark, so you will need a fairly strong DPS going into this. I'd say shoot for like 5.5k physical attack, 5 to 5.5k, right? Now for Cloud's actual setup here, he's sitting at 14.6k HP, 5100 physical attack, and 141 magic defense. If your other characters are slotting physical attack up all weapons, it's going to boost him up and it's going to make him stronger. All right, now if we take a look at his setup here, what's important for Glenn or Cloud as your main DPS is the Circle Sigil Break, right? So we have Aerith taking X, Red 13 taking Diamond, and Cloud or Glenn is going to take Circle, right? So we're going to put Circle in the 3rd slot because that gets the Sigil Breaker right here. I also chose a materia that has a lot of magic defense, as you guys can see. Now, as for the other 2 materias, they're stat sticks, and I'm going to focus magic defense, as you guys can probably guess, along with physical attack. So this one is physical attack 5% plus magic defense plus 7. Right? And the second one here is going to be physical attack 4.8, HP 5.1, magic defense 8, right? So I was able to get Cloud to 141 magic defense, right? His sub weapons will include the guide gloves right here. We have the Orthodox Raven for HP water potency, and I have the Ultimatic here for attack and physical ability potency. So if we look at his R abilities here, he has HP at 7, physical attack just barely cresting 7 as well. So the 55 points is what you're shooting for. We have attack at 30, water potency at 58, water mastery from the costume, and then physical ability potency is literally just 1 point away from the thing right there. But essentially that's how you'll be building him, and hopefully he'll be supplemented and made stronger by the other characters that are coming into your team. So that is going to basically conclude the team setup that you're going to need to understand, whether you're running Aerith, who is your main healer slash buffer in the fight, right? And X Sigil Breaker, Red 13 or Barret, who is going to be your Diamond Sigil Breaker, your Magic Attack Breaker, right? And Red 13 has the edge because he has Stardust Ray, so that can actually save him some ATB later on, because typically in the fight, when Cloud or Glenn does the tidal wave from Leviathan, Red 13 is going to pop Stardust Ray more or less at the exact same time, and it's going to happen periodically throughout the fight. Aerith's Breath of the Earth is going to come at a slightly different interval, slowly after that. But essentially, you guys are going to want to put the teams together as close to this as you can. All right, so that being said, I'm going to jump over to the actual voiceover of the fight, and I'm going to show you guys how to get through it. Alright guys, so this is the setup for the team that we have going into this. Now, I just want to let you guys know you can do this fight with a lot weaker characters than what we have right here. I even had LENA detune her Glenn in the back end just because I didn't want to have us just eat this fight alive. But essentially this fight is to show you the beta, to show you guys what you need to know with playing each of these certain characters. Now for Glenn, he's essentially just going to be keeping the Slay the Day buff up and using his axe attack throughout the entire fight. He's a DPS. There is an important timing for using the tidal wave, which I will show you guys essentially when we get into the video. This is the Aerith that I showed you guys in the prior team setups. And then we have Aynath over here running Red 13. You have the Silver Collar there and the Junk Collar down below. The Junk Collar, I think you would want to have it at OB6. I haven't done much testing to see if you could do it with less than OB6. It's probably possible. The Silver Collar for sure can be done with less than OB6. So, you know, I think depending on your setups, some of these characters can be pretty lenient for what you need. But just shoot for high magic defense, high HP, and as high of attack as you can on your main DPS. That being said, let's get into the fight itself. Alright guys, so here we are getting into this fight. I'm going to turn down the volume just a tad right here. Alright, so at the beginning of this fight, guys, essentially what you're doing is the boss is going to start casting Judgment Bolt. With Aerith, you're going to use Spiritual Harmony. I use it twice at the beginning of this fight. Red 13 can start with the Imperil and then use his Frenzied Fangs twice so that the magic attack break is high by the time the Judgment Bolt goes off. And Glenn is just going to essentially be doing as much damage as possible to keep that lightning bar down. Throughout the fight, that lightning bar is going to fill, and the more water damage that you do, the more that you take off of it, right? So here we go. The boss is going to be casting his Judgment Bolt right there. As you can see, it does a fair amount of damage. I'm going to counter that with Aerith right here. You want to get Red 13 above 50% health right here so that his Imperils start to work during this breaking phase, right? So during this, Aerith is just going to triple cast or quadruple cast the X Rune Residual. Red 13 will be doing Diamond Breaks, and the DPS can get off one damaging attack, so it should be basically using Circle Sigils to break this phase, right? Alright, once I do all of Aerith's X attacks, I get off a heal, and then the moment that the bar breaks, I hit Spiritual Harmony. Alright, that's going to take everyone physical attack up, magic defense up. Now, we're waiting right here for the DPS to engage the Leviathan, right? Okay, so right when the boss starts to cast right here, right? So right about now, more or less. The DPS is going to drop Tidal Wave. Red 13 can drop Stardust Ray in order to break the boss's magic attack right there. All right. Leviathan should take out both of the Sparks. Now make sure you're saving your Limit Break with Aerith right here, all right? So we're going to block the first charged current, hold block for the second charged current, all right? Then immediately counter with Breath of the Earth right here, all right? You see we have a magic defense down. All right, the Breath of the Earth is going to completely heal us back to neutral from a magic defense break. All right, after that, essentially, you're going to Spiritual Harmony, get the magic defense back up for the team. All right, the boss is going to choose one of the characters and start hitting them with single target attacks. They'll block through it if you need to. DPS is keeping the lightning bar down. Red 13 is keeping Imperil up and magic attack break at high. All right, so once those two single target attacks go off, the boss is going to choose one person, all right? It's whoever has the highest HP right here. All right, so we'll see here in a second. It's going to choose Aynath right here, Red 13, right? So Aynath is going to get chosen. The Thunder Lance is a single target attack. Make sure the magic defense is up and the magic attack is fully broken on the boss right here. The DPS is trying to keep that lightning bar down as much as possible to reduce damage. All right? So here we go. There's that single target attack. I'm going to use my single target cure to heal Red 13 right here. All right. We're just going to continue focusing along. I like to keep my healer kind of up on ATB. So I'm going to let it kind of charge up. I don't need to heal myself right here. A sigil phase is coming. Once he summons the spark, sigil phases are coming. All right. So same thing as before, right? I'm just going to use X's until X is gone. Once the X's are gone, I can do 1 Curaga, and then just make sure that you're above half HP, because the moment that the sigil phase breaks, you're going to launch Spiritual Harmony. All right? But you need to be above half HP for the magic defense to trigger. All right, so boom, as soon as it's broken, go straight into Spiritual Harmony. Same as before. You're going to get as much damage here as possible, and then right when the boss goes to start his attack, your DPS is going to counter with Tidal Wave. Boom, right there. There's Stardust Ray. There goes the boss's magic attack break all the way back to neutral. Same setup as the last time it happened. All right, so there you go. Takes out the sparks. Aerith's beta right here does not change whatsoever. All right, so right after these 2 hits go off, the boss is going to cast Charged Current twice. All right, you're going to block both of them. Try to block at the last possible second so that you don't lose too much stance gauge in the meantime. All right, I'm going to hold it through. Boom, press the button on the limit break. Breath of the Earth is going to counter the magic defense down. Same exact setup as before. All right. And then after that, I'm going to use Spiritual Harmony, get the magic defense back up to high on the entire team. He's going to single target someone for the Thunder Lance. In this case, it's me. I have my HP full. We have the magic defense up high. Make sure you block it. All right. So I'm going to take this attack right here. All right. Perfect. After that, I'm going to be stunned a little bit because that hits pretty hard. Careful on your stance gauge here. I kind of run it out, but it's all right. I did stop it just in time. As a DPS, I would not have done that. All right, so after that, I'm just going to be basically healing while the rest of the team focuses on imperiling him, breaking his magic attack, and doing as much damage as possible. Make sure you're keeping up the attack stance or the physical attack buff on the team for Glenn or Cloud. And at this point in time, the boss will start charging Greater Bolt Charge. He's charging his Lightning Bar to full when he will cast the final Judgment Bolt. If that Judgment Bolt goes off, it will kill your entire team. So basically, once that second Thunder Lance goes off, the fight turns into a full-blown DPS check. You don't need to worry about healing. Just go full-blown to the wall, do as much damage as possible, and take down the boss. So essentially, that is the Ramuh EX fight. Of course, if you guys have any questions about this fight, definitely hit me up in the comments. I'm happy to help you guys as much as possible. And if you're having trouble finding a group, come check out our Discord. There's a link in the description of all my videos. It's called the Curseborn Discord. We're happy to help you guys get run. There's a bunch of people in here. You could even get run by some of the people in this video. So that being said, if you guys enjoyed it today, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel for more Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis content. I wish you guys the best of luck getting your clears and hope you all have a wonderful night. Take care and peace.